This is the Virginia Beach Police Department. You're going to be tested physically. You're going to be tested emotionally. You're going to be tested psychologically. And we absolutely are going to test your integrity. Nothing will be given to you. Period.
Okay, so for those people that send out emails, I'm going to give you a chance if you want to come up here and talk about it.
Recruit Parker, he's actually the class president. He's 42 years old, I believe, and runs around like a 22-year-old.
1, 2.
He possesses the ability to relate to the younger group as well as he possesses the ability to relate to staff.
I thought they said in class that whoever the
Recruit Parker is my superstar. His ability to be a leader is apparent and it's natural, so he is just an exceptional recruit all the way around.
Before he was named class president, he stood out as someone that we knew we wanted as a possible class president.
You know, they asked for nominations. I had one person say, if I nominate you, would you accept it? And I said, yeah, I'll gladly, humbly take the nomination. And, they did the vote and it was pretty unanimous, I guess, that people felt the same way.
Vice President is Recruit John Sharp. Since the beginning, I've given him more responsibility because his ability to lead.
You guys, your individual conversations need to be part of the bigger group.
It was me and Parker. We sort of looked at each other. I said, I'm cool with being the vice president, you're the president. He said, yeah, but let's vote on it. Let's make sure that's how everyone else feels. So we did a second vote, and it came out almost exactly the same.
I'm actually surprised that he got vice president. I figured he would be the president. He's very well spoken, a real deep thinker, doesn't fly off the handle, takes his time and really thinks out a situation first before acting on it.
I can't speak for Parker necessarily, but beyond just wanting to get things done correctly and done quickly and efficiently, we actually want to see these people succeed.
All right, who's the first DV?
So we just had conflict resolution, and so that's really the first set of scenarios where it's dynamic. It's more than just, okay, we taught you how to handcuff somebody, click, click, everyone's friendly. Well, conflict resolution is exactly what it sounds like.
Typically, when we get called to the scene, they call us to help them figure out solutions to solve their problems. We've got to be able to communicate with people and handle their situations.
2 days of scenario-based training, and it's a wide array of different situations.
Whether it's a domestic, whether it's a fight or a dispute over something at a 7-Eleven, where there's two heated people, and you got to figure out, how do I resolve this conflict?
You need to go.
And we do that at the Creed's training facility because we have things set up there that mimics banks, the convenience stores, condos, apartments, townhomes, everything that an officer or a new officer might encounter in the street.
And so we have the scenario set up where they got to go in and figure out exactly what's going on, how to solve it legally.
Sir, step outside.
And do I need to make an arrest? Do I have a charge? Or do I just separate them, let them go on their way?
The big part of being a police officer nowadays is communication, being able to communicate effectively.
If you're personable and you give people respect, a lot of times you don't have to use force. Yeah, just verbalize a little bit more. If his voice isn't carrying, you might need to step up.
A hard thing to learn is that there's a million ways to do each scenario. So it's harder to learn. There's only one way. You just learn that way and you do it, and that's it. But knowing that there's so many different options makes it difficult.
Academics really came into the scenarios because the most common problem that we have is our legal authority. And that was something that I was very grounded in. So going in, I was always confident with my legal authority and what I was allowed to do. So scenarios are a place where I really thrive.
All right, see how easy that was?
I think the scenarios have been my favorite part because it's what, no kidding, lets me test what I think versus what should happen. And when I come out of those and I passed and I made the right decisions, that really reinforces my thought processes.
Conflict res was where I was like, hell yeah, this is what I want to do. This is why I joined. Yeah, I did great.
What little self-confidence I had managed to build up prior to those scenarios was just absolutely smashed in that first scenario. I think most of it was communicating with the suspect.
It seems like a lot of the recruits struggle in small talk.
This makes me nervous.
And this job was called verbal judo. You got to be pretty good at it.
Stop.
You're thrown into the situation where it's your job to make small talk. And all of a sudden it becomes really hard to not be awkward.
They asked the suspect, "Do you want to step out here and talk to us?" And the suspect said, "No."
Come on out, sir. No.
And the looks on their faces were like, well, that's all we got.
There's so much going on in each of those calls that you really have to, mentally, you have to take a step back and see what's going on.
The role players are just phenomenal. I sometimes think it's not a scenario, I think it's real life sometimes. These people are screaming, they're acting so well.
He's not my boyfriend. I've never seen that man. And why you raped me?
They're putting on the full role of what they might be doing on the street. And they're carrying around sim guns, which are same as our Glocks we carry on duty, only they are paintball Glocks.
Reality sets in that, okay, it's not just someone holding a plastic gun saying, bang, bang, I shot you. They actually see where they can get hit and understand that it missed their vest and that it could potentially be a life-threatening wound, and that's something you have to deal with and understand that stressor being a police officer.
I shot somebody. I shot one of the role players, and I was like, it just was like, dang, like I shot somebody, you know. I was just nervous. I was scared that I shot somebody, even if it was just a paint round. But that was like the first time it really like got with me, like, this is real. That could have been a real gun, and I could have really shot somebody.
A lot of these recruits are younger and have very little, if any, life experience. So we pull in the simunition training so that they get the realization of, if I make that officer safety tactical mistake, here's the consequence without it being death.
I was partnered with Cordero. Trying to talk the man from killing himself wasn't the issue. It was more so, how do we get this man out?
Murray was about to walk down the hallway, and I'm like looking at him like, no, we're not, because that doesn't seem like a good idea.
You feel safe?
I remember him like looking at me like, are you ready to go? And I was like, no. And then he starts walking, and the guy grabs the gun and starts firing. One of the instructors behind me was like, they're like, recruit pay, like, you knew what to do. You're like, but you just didn't say anything. They're like, we need you to be able to take lead in situations like this. Like, you need to be a leader. You know, like, I was just overthinking the situation. I think like that's my biggest issue. Like, I will overthink the heck out of like the scenarios.
I don't even remember pulling my gun out. I just knew that that's what I had to do, and I knew that I had to stop that threat.
The scenarios that they go through have all those elements built in, from tactics to stress to violence. They tend to see who they are personally. Some folks accept it and are ready for the challenge. Some folks are like, wait a minute, I'm not sure I can do this.
There's certain times in the training where there's always that what if in your head. I try to put myself in that mindset where, what happens if this was an actual situation that we were dealing with? Once we graduate here and we go out on the streets, what's that first scenario going to be?
I think Virginia Beach does an amazing job of preparing us for working on the streets, actually. Can you do it? Are you going to be able to do it? Is there somewhere inside of you where you can go, that you can find the resolve to make that call in that moment? I would say that there are definitely some recruits who have not asked themselves that question enough times.
But we do prepare them for those things. We show them videos. We dissect why an officer may have gotten injured or why an officer may have gotten shot at, and we try to prepare them for the best case scenario. One of the de-escalation tactics is use of resources, right? Your partner, your backup, right? People are less likely to assault another officer with another person there, right?
Every time we have a class, every time we do scenarios, anytime they show us pictures or videos of some sort, this is what has happened, and it can happen to us. We don't know, but these are things that you have to always think of, and you have to be aware of how to deal with it and what you need to do in certain situations.
Part of this job and part of the Recruit Academy is understanding your strengths and weaknesses. A lot of this for us as a police officer is the fact that you can get killed in a line of duty.
The more you bleed in training, the less likely you are to bleed in the field. Now's the time to perfect your craft, so when the day comes you have to utilize it. It's second nature.
It doesn't hit home until they go out on the street in the real world and they have to pull their gun out of the holster for whatever reason.
Hurry up!
My first day on the street could be my last day.